Good morning everyone, welcome back. Or if it's not morning, what time is it where you are? It's morning for me. I'm tired. So May was a good month. May I discovered the power of 24-hour readathons / reading vlogs. Game changer. Absolute game changer in my mind. So I read 14 books in May. It was a really fun month. I really enjoyed reading this month. I think I got back in touch with reading and I was unintentionally in a reading slump and I didn't realize. But it's good to be back and I read some good books. So I'm going to tell you about them today because, you know, we've done enough wrap-ups on this channel. I feel like you know the drill. So because I do have some reading vlogs for a lot of these books, I won't go into super detail for them. I'll just give you a brief rundown of my thoughts. And then there's some that I read and I haven't told anyone about. So we are going to go into a deep dive for those. There is also one book that I technically finished on the 1st of June, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway because the bulk of it happened in May. So all of that out of the way, let's just jump in because as I said, I've got 14 books to tell you about. So number one was Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. So Once Upon a Broken Heart is the first book in the kind of next cycle of her Caraval series. In Once Upon a Broken Heart, we follow our main characters, one of which who is the Prince of Hearts from the Caraval series. And as to not spoil Caraval and that like series all too much, I actually won't go into too much detail about it, but we follow a new character and she is sent across the kingdom to the Upper Kingdom by two characters from Caraval also for reasons where she has to kind of compete to become the prince's wife. There is mystery, there is like so much magic, deals, bargains, all of that jazz. It was super fun. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think that I would because I didn't love Jax in Caraval, but I've grown, I've changed. This is growth. I listened to this on audiobook, which is why I don't have the physical copy in my hands, and I will eventually. But it was a really lovely experience to listen to it. I also listened to Caraval, so I don't think that I would actually want to read it physically because that's not how I know that world at all. So I think I'm just going to keep listening to it when it comes out. So that's really exciting. And also there is a sequel coming out at the end of the year, which I'm so ready for. It's going to be a good time. I've read a lot of books at the start of this year that have sequels coming out towards the end of this year, which is really cool because now I have anticipated reads. Ooh. So the next book I read was Verity by Colleen Hoover. Verity is Colleen Hoover's first like thriller adult horror book. Normally she does romance and she does romance quite well, but I actually think that she does thriller better. So Verity follows our main character Lowen. She is a writer and she is kind of on the brink of collapse. She hasn't had a book, she hasn't had a deal. And the book actually opens with quite a horrific scene that I was not ready for, but it really set the tone for the rest of the book. Lowen has been actually invited to co-write a book by one of the most famous authors in kind of her genre in general. But to do this, she would need to go and stay at Verity, the author's house, and kind of go through all of her notes and stuff and try to finish off this series that Verity has started. However, the thing that we don't know is that Verity is in basically a vegetative state and can't write anymore, so that's why they've invited Lo to come. It is Colleen Hoover. There is a romance. It's twisty, it's dark, and I had such a good time reading this. This is one of those books that I was like, I need to keep reading. I need to stop doing things that I have to do and read the book. I think that that is a thriller thing. I think that that's like a mystery thriller thing. They're easy to read. They're easy to blast through. I don't love Colleen Hoover's writing, but I think that it's easy to digest, which was nice. And the blend of mystery versus suspense versus romance was really interesting. And I think that she did it quite well. And it's not something that I've actually encountered before in books. And I think that's because I haven't read too much in this genre before. I was genuinely terrified at one point and had to put the book down and walk away and go to the shops and buy more nice fluffy books to cleanse my mind before returning to finish the book that night. So I really enjoy Verity and I'm actually quite excited to jump into more like this, like more from this genre, because I think that it's something I haven't explored too much before and I would like to. And I actually gave Verity a 4 out of 5 stars. So next starts one of my 24-hour reading vlogs. I will leave it up here, I think it is, for you to watch if you feel like knowing a bit more of my thoughts about these books and just generally my life. So I started off this reading vlog reading The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary, and I actually did finish this one in that 24 hours as well. The Road Trip follows a group of 5 people as they're on their way to a wedding. 2 of the people have their car break down and then they have to catch a road trip, like ride with the other 3 people who they know. Obviously they're going to the same wedding, but then as the book unfolds we learn that there's a lot of history between these characters, and one of them is like an ex-boyfriend of the other one. They were really messy when they broke up, like things didn't go down well. And so we spend the entire cartridge flicking back and forth between past and present and kind of uncovering what has happened to these characters in the past and how that's led them to be where they are today. I enjoyed it. I think that it was a really nice character profile. That's kind of all it was. There wasn't really too much of a story happening aside from like what happened in the past and figuring out getting to where we were in the book. As I said, I listened to this one as well. I'm glad I did, because I probably wouldn't have kept reading it, or it would have taken me months to finish if not, because there were times where it was a bit slow. So I think that's a bit of a pacing concern there. Some of the character arcs were a bit questionable and not realistic. It's a book. It was fun, I enjoyed it, and I gave it a 3.75 stars. The next book I started and finished in that 24-hour reading vlog was Bloom by Kevin Panetta and illustrated by Savannah Ganichow. My feelings cannot express how much I loved Bloom. Bloom is probably my favourite graphic novel that I have read this year. Now, spoiler, I also read some other graphic novels in the next 24-hour reading vlog that isn't out yet. It will be out next week. But I read Bloom. I loved Bloom. I think Bloom was gorgeous. It had a lovely like character arcs. It had a beautiful illustration style. I think that the panels conveyed the emotions like really well. It was adorable, it was digestible, and I loved it so much. So I gave Bloom a 5 out of 5 stars. I also read, again in that video, The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This one was interesting. I don't know if I liked this or not, still to this day. The start of the book was terrible. Like, I really hated it at the start. I honestly, if it wasn't for the vlog, I probably wouldn't have finished it. The end kind of redeemed itself, like once the tropes kind of kicked in and they were like, you know, a typical romantic comedy trope, not like whatever the start of the book was, because that was weird. I go into much more depth in my video about this, but generally we follow our two main characters. They are working in the same office. They are working for publishing companies that have merged. So there's technically like two companies under one umbrella, and they are fighting for the same job promotion. And so that's where the game aspect of this comes in. The main characters are Lucy Hutton and Joshua Templeman. They generally just spend their days competing against each other for literally everything, and they have a game for literally everything, from the staring game to the mirror game. There was just a lot of different things. Lucy has an obsession with Smurfs that was never properly explained. I don't know what that was about. To this day, remains a mystery. But as I said, towards the end, it got a bit more fun. I did finish it in a night. So, and also there is a movie, and I read this because I wanted to watch the movie, and I watched the movie, and the movie wasn't better. I thought it would be, but it was not. There is a lot of story crammed into these pages, and if you want to absorb it, probably read the book, because the movie does not even begin to cover what happened in this story. And I also gave The Hating Game a 3.75 out of 5 stars. After I finished that vlog, I then finished On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, which is his beautifully written debut novel following our main character, Little Dog. It follows a bit of intergenerational history dating back to the war and how that trauma has then been passed down into the generations. And it also takes us along on Little Dog's journey as he kind of grows into an adult and the struggles that he faces in a small town with really minimum like socioeconomic wage jobs. This book was amazing, and it's not until after I've read it that I've realized how amazing that it actually was. It took me a very long time to get through, but there are just so many parts of this book that I found just so hard hitting, and they stuck with me for so long. And I've tabbed, I don't normally tabbed, but I tabbed this one. It was so poignant. It was so poignant. There were so many things and themes that still need to be addressed and still have prevalence, and it was a fantastic view into those things. I think that this is a book that I'm gonna need to read again to properly appreciate it, and I think I might listen to it if I read it again, which I actually might do sometime this year, because I have it saved in my library apps. I didn't realize until after I bought it that I had access to it. But honestly, Ocean Vuong's writing, and I think that this is universal across the booktube community, but his writing is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. There is so much packed into this teeny tiny book, and all of it, like every sentence, is a masterpiece. No words are filler, no words are wasted. Every sentence contributed so profoundly to this story, and it was phenomenal. And I actually gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I also finished Shadow Kiss by Rochelle Mead. I've spoken about this series pretty lengthily in the last couple of months. I've been rereading it with some people on a Discord that I follow, the Book to Boozy podcast Discord. We're doing a reread of the series because there's a TV show coming out and there's a few people, probably like 50% of us, I reckon, haven't read the series before. And I'm not one of those. I've read the series before, but I'm reading it for an ulterior motive to actually finish the Bloodline series because I never finished that. So I'm reading 12 books off of my shelf that I have already read before to finish a book that I have had sitting on my shelf for probably nearly a decade at this point. Shadowkiss is the 3rd installment in the Vampire Academy series. I think these books are getting better as they go. The story is unfolding more, the world is getting richer and deeper, and our characters are actually growing a lot more within themselves. I really don't like Lissa, that's something that I've learned in this book, and I don't like how Rose deals with some of the situations around her, but I have to remember that they're teenagers and that this is young adult. But as to not spoil anything from the first 2 books, this follows Rose and Lissa primarily as they are kind of starting to learn a bit more about the outside vampire world. The big bad character is starting to sort of ramp up in the series, so we learn a bit more about them in this book as well. So I had a lot of fun with this. I reduced my rating from 5 to 4. Young Meekela didn't know anything about books and rated books 5 at every chance that she got. So I'm just fixing her very slowly. Alright, the last 7 books that I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to talk about too much. Okay, no, that's a lie. I'm going to tell you the one that I read in June. She did it, guys. She finished A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. A Darker Shade of Magic follows our main character. His name is Kel, and he can jump between 3 different types of London. So we've got Red London, Grey London, and White London. There's also a Black London, but we don't talk about Black London. Kel gets given a package. Inside the package there is a stone and it throws his life into chaos. He meets Lila, who is a thief just trying to make her way in Grey London. They kind of get thrown together into like a journey because Lila's super headstrong and Kel needs help, basically. Did I like it? Yeah. I enjoyed myself. I did enjoy reading it. It was a bit of a chore, and I think that's just because I built it up in my head so much, but I did actually enjoy like the end of the book. Is it enough to continue it? I don't know yet. I think what I'll do is if I find it at a secondhand bookstore, like the sequels to this, I'll pick them up, but I'm not going to go out of my way to actually finish the series. That'll be a future Meekela's book purchasing decision. I did give A Darker Shade of Magic 3.5 stars. I think that this is probably one of my favorite V.E. Schwab books. I think I liked This Savage Song and Our Dark Duet a little bit better than this one, but this one comes in second. Just still didn't like Addie LaRue. Still can't like it, still don't understand it. Definitely think that this is higher ranked than that. But yes, we did it, everyone. We finally did it. It's taken us, I don't know how many TBR videos, how many attempts at reading. Just, it's taken us a long time to get to this point, and I'm so glad that we're here. Okay, the next 6 books I read for another 24-hour reading vlog. That is not out yet, but I will give you a sneak peek. In this reading vlog, I read Beach Read by Emily Henry, The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and the entire Heartstopper graphic novel series. Honestly, I listened to The Cruel Prince, so that didn't count, but all of these pages equated to about 1,600 pages in 24 hours, which, to quote Jared, graphic novels don't count. I don't agree with that. I think they do. So as I said, because that video is not out yet, I won't tell you my thoughts about them in like a lot of depth, but I also don't think that I finished The Cruel Prince in that vlog. I think I finished it like the next day. So my thoughts on The Cruel Prince, it was fine. I'm not like blown away by it. I'm gonna keep listening to the next books on audiobook because I have them in the library app and I don't have to pay for them and they're just there. So that is the reason I will be continuing the series. Not super invested in the characters. I think that the relationship between them is a bit odd. I think that the next book is going to hold a lot more of the tropes that I really enjoy in young adult fantasies. So that was The Cruel Prince. I gave it 3.5 stars. Beach Read was fine, and Heartstopper was probably one of the best graphic novel series that I have read. I think I still like Bloom more than I like Heartstopper, but only just. And I have since watched the TV series because that's what I was reading these to catch up on. So one thing that I didn't know going in that I think is worth people knowing going in, the TV series follows the first 2 in the graphic novels. It doesn't go into 3 and 4, but the show has been renewed for another 2 seasons. So I suspect that's where we're gonna get the bulk of these guys. I'll tell you more about them in the video, but in order of my favorites, we have 3, then 1, then 4, then 2. That's my current favorite order. I have not yet read the next lot of chapters that are online, and I think that I would like to do that because I don't know if I can wait for the volume 5 bind up to come out. But that's all the books I read in May. As I said, it was a good month for reading. I'm forever grateful for 24-hour readathons, reading vlogs, whatever they are, because that helped me to reintroduce my love of reading and to just carve out a nice space to read for a while. That's something I don't do enough of. Yes, that is all of the books that I read. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you have read any of these and what your thoughts on them are, because there was a lot of favorites in here and I think that I have some conflicting opinions about them. But yeah, so that is kind of everything that I wanted to tell you guys about today. Thanks for coming along. If you've made it this far, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're having a fantastic day and I'll see you in the next video.